About a year ago, I saw this promo video by Vivo featuring the new concept phone which had a pop-up camera, and only a year later, I have Huawei's all-new Y9 Prime 2019, a mid-range smartphone that boasts a pop-up front camera made for commercial use. And though this might be one of the highlights of this phone, I feel like the more traditional rear camera of the device is nothing less to be ignored either. Though being a mid-range smartphone priced at Rs 30,000 in Nepal, this phone boasts a great smartphone camera. So without further ado, let's get started with our review of Huawei Y9 Prime 2019's camera. As far as the camera is concerned, the Huawei Y9 Prime 2019 on the rear packs a 16 megapixel wide primary camera with an f1.8 aperture, a second 8 megapixel ultra wide camera with an f2.4 aperture, and a third 2 megapixel depth sensor with an f2.4 aperture. It also sports a 16 megapixel motorized pop-up camera on the front for selfies with an f2.0 aperture. These wide apertures will be sure to help you take bright images even in the dark, and also produce breathtaking macro shots with a very shallow depth of field. The phone can also shoot videos at 1080p, up to 60 fps, and slow motion videos in 720p at 480 and even 120 fps. Checking out the rear camera on the phone, you can see that the color reproduction on this camera is pretty well. It's really good actually. And even when I zoom in, the quality doesn't deteriorate too much. It's a pretty good camera. This is the front camera test for Y9 Prime 2019, and as you can see, when you have an ample amount of light to work with, the color reproduction is pretty good, and the quality of the video is also pretty high. So यो चाहिँ Y9 Prime 2019 को sample video, अनि यो म एकदमै low light मा खिचिरहेको छु. त्यही पनि you can see that the video quality is not that bad, अनि dark भए पनि green त छ, तर the video is bright enough for you to see. Yeah. यो चाहिँ Y9 Prime 2019 को अलिकति राति खिचेको भिडियो स्याम्पल हो, अनि you can see that there is a lot of green over there. एकदमै लो लाइटमा यसको रियर क्यामेराले चाहिँ त्यति राम्रो परफर्म गर्दैन रहेछ भिडियोमा, अनि त्यो बाहेक पनि इमेज स्टेबलाइजेसन नभएको कारणले you can see that there is a lot of shake भिडियो खिच्दाखेरि. The camera user interface is pretty much the same as Huawei's previous phones, with different modes which are very familiar to us. The aperture mode makes use of the 2 megapixel depth sensor to give a bokeh effect to any picture we take with it. The night mode allows us to take pictures even in pitch darkness with Huawei's night mode technology, which works by taking multiple long exposure shots and stitching them together to produce the best looking image. It also has a portrait mode with different lighting settings that produces some great portraits with a smooth bokeh in the background, and also a standard photo mode which allows you to change between the ultra wide angle camera to the primary camera, and a more tab where we can find other camera functions like the Pro mode, the Panorama mode, HDR, time-lapse, filters, stickers, AR lens, light painting, and slow motion. Talking about the images themselves, the images produced when you have an ample amount of light are sharp, and though it might look a bit unsaturated at times, I still think that the camera does a wonderful job. The camera does struggle a bit when we push its optical zoom all the way to the maximum, but you can't really blame it on the camera too much. Under low light conditions, the night mode works wonderfully and produces great looking images. Sometimes the pictures tend to look a bit muddy, but there's not much to complain about considering the price of the device. The depth of field effect in the aperture and the portrait mode works great and produces great images with a smooth bokeh. I think it's amazing how well the AI has gotten at this, and Huawei deserves a lot of praise for its software. As a photographer, there's nothing better than the Pro mode in this device. The Pro mode allows you to manually control the ISO and shutter speed, allowing you to take long exposure shots up to 8 seconds. The flexibility that this offers is absolutely amazing, and along with the night painting mode, this will definitely bring up your smartphone photography game. The HDR also works great and helps you get some extra dynamic range on your pictures. The amount of detail that the pictures take on this mode is comparable to taking images on a full-fledged camera, and all of these features definitely help Y9 Prime 2019 become one of the best mid-range smartphones for photography. Finally, talking about the pop-up front camera of the device, I think that this is a pretty cool feature which allows the phone to completely remove its bezels without a notch and gives it a sleek and modern look. The pop-up front camera is pretty wide, which will be pretty useful to take group pictures. The high megapixel count on it means that you could also use it to make high quality videos for a vlog or something. All in all, I think that Huawei has found a clever way to work around the notch problem, and being one of the first smartphone companies to embrace this new concept shows how innovative Huawei is. Props to Huawei for that. In this day and age of saturated smartphone markets, companies need to innovate in an unprecedented rate to bring in more customers. Huawei has been on top of this since the last few years, and with the release of the Y9 Prime 2019, it has shown that it has no plans to stop. Y9 Prime 2019 definitely has one of the better smartphone cameras out there and is an important step towards solidifying Huawei's place as a top innovator in technology. What do you think about Huawei's new phone? Is its pop-up camera just a new gimmick, or is it a new innovation? Let us know down in the comments. That's it for today. This is Gaurav Tamang signing out. See you guys in the next one.